Good morning, and welcome to the 445 Productive Through Joy show with your host and your boy, Dr. Michael Datcher. The show airs each weekday morning, hella early AF here at 4:45 a.m. on YouTube's Michael Datcher channel, then at 4:45 p.m. on Facebook Live. Guys, today we're talking about community, about how operating, working, thinking, being in community, writing in community, for example, is such a great way to enhance your productivity. So thanks for being here. If you are new, you can go to productivethroughjoy.com to see about us. We speak to groups, schools, and organizations about being productive through joy. Really, a series of great workshops, webinars, presentations. Amazing. Holla at us and we'll holla back. I should also say a few words about myself. This is your host and your boy, Dr. Michael Datcher, author of the New York Times bestseller Raising Fences, author of the acclaimed historical novel Americas, author of the Pulitzer Prize nominated Animating Black and Brown Liberation, a Theory of American Literatures, board president of the great nonprofit here in LA's Crenshaw District, The World Stage. Educational background, UC Berkeley as an undergrad, master's, UCLA, PhD in English Lit from the University of California at Riverside. Guys, I'm an expert at being productive, right? I don't say that to brag or boast. I say it because people are almost always surprised to hear that story, that brief bio, when they hear my crazy background. I am the product of a young girl who was sexually assaulted at age 16, gave birth to me at 17, then subsequently gave me up for adoption to an amazing single divorcee, yet at the time, no biological father, no adopted father. Listen, difficult times for the young MD, yet as cool. Modi famously said, "How you like me now," right? And if I can be this productive and be so through joy, I am arguing and believing, knowing that many people can be productive through joy in their own lane. So that really inspires this show because we know it's not where you're from. Yo, it's where you're about to go. Let's dive in. So we're talking today, guys, about community. And point one is that you want to identify your community. And many of us have various communities. I've got several, right? I've got my writing community. I've got my black community. I've got my artist community. I've got my activist community. I'm in several pretty hardcore communities in terms of gathering. I have a mastermind. I've got my family community. I got my lady. We are our own little community, And so but you want to be able to identify your community. Like what is the place, who are the folk who you build with, and what are you committed to? And for many of us, that's multiple communities, and I recommend that. At times, those things overlap. At times, they don't overlap at all. At times, they overlap in ways that are not healthy. My academic community, I won't get into that little story, but just at times I try to bring them all together. It doesn't work out so well. So sometimes it's best to keep those communities a little separate. Um, and so once you identify that community, you then want to be able to basically do your part to undergird it, to support it, to strengthen it, right? That's the key. A lot of times, we join communities, a church community. I'm part of a spiritual community. At times, we join these communities to get help, which is not, that's good. You should be getting help, and communities are there to help you. But let me encourage you to have an attitude of you want to go and serve and give to the community, and you'll get your reward, you'll get your help on the back end. But when you go to with an attitude of service as opposed to coming just to take, uh, then I'm smiling because I'm thinking about I go to a place called Agape, which is a really beautiful spiritual center here in LA. Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith is the founder, minister of this church, spiritual center, really progressive, powerful church. And so we have an early morning meditation, not because of COVID-19, but and then we have church after that. So I go to this church, but what I do first is I do my own meditation first, so I can come able to give and encourage other people because I gain a lot from going to this spiritual center. It really helps me. And it's easy for me, trust me, just to go like, whoo, I need to get loved up on. I need to get some spiritual edification right now. COVID-19, Donald Trump, people lying about death totals. I mean, it's getting crazy out here with this COVID-19. They're lying about who's dying, who's not dying. And because black folks are dying in mass, we know that we'll be undercounted, I mean, anyway, so at times I'm like, oh, I need to go to church, you know, And my attitude, though, usually, and not always, but usually is first I want to meditate before I go, get ready so I can go in and be willing to give to other people. And that I find always works out better for me. So I'm not just going to take from church, I'm going to give. That's just one example. I'm involved again in several communities. And when our attitude is to go and give, it works out better, which goes into point three. You want to be able to lead the way in service. A lot of us, I get it. A lot of us are involved in various types of activism, various types of social work. You get lots of praise. You're at the microphone. At times you're on TV. At times we are getting praise from other people. When those things are not bad things. But the challenge of that is it can become an outweighted, right, an overemphasized part of the experience for you, where you begin to like that more than the actual work at hand. That's the challenge. Um, for everyone, including for myself, which is why I'm so adamant about self, you know, uh, analysis, self undergirding, spiritual practice. So I'm constantly keeping myself rooted in what's really important: the service, the community with the one love, the family, the building. Really, really trying to be my highest self, because like everyone else, it's easy to get off track when things are getting you off track. And so, which is really the last point, as we are doing this work of community, because when you are successful in community, people praise you, which is not a bad thing. But you don't want to. We have a phrase among the poet in my poet community: is certain poets read for emotional hand claps, right? They read the poem, or they actually write the poem trying to have like zinger lines or applause lines, so they'll get applause from the audience, which can be very seductive. When you're writing it's fine to write for an audience, but when you're writing for applause, that's very dangerous as a poet. And so we say people are looking for emotional hand claps, right? And so that's a kind of a good metaphor for what we can do as activists, as people engaged in all types of social justice work or just service work. You want to do the service because that's the right thing to do. And to maintain that attitude, is my point, is you want to keep working on the self, keep checking the self, keep being about your spiritual or energetic practice, because you'll need it. It's true what they say, a person is tested by failure for sure, but equally, if not more, a person is tested by success. And the work that you do on undergirding yourself will be really helpful to you as you begin to have great success, because the test will come. All right. Anyway, guys, thanks for being here. Boom goes the dynamite. We'll see you this afternoon at 4:45 p.m. Happy Memorial Day with your fams. Be safe. Deuces.